The sun dipped low over the manicured lawns of the Harrington estate in Greenwich, Connecticut, casting a golden glow through the tall windows of the study. Alexander Harrington, the 38-year-old CEO of Harrington Tech, lay sprawled on the antique leather sofa, his crisp white shirt slightly unbuttoned, tie loosened. To anyone glancing in, he looked dead to the world, eyes shut, breathing slow and steady, one arm dangling off the edge. But Alexander wasn't asleep. Not even close. He'd been watching her for weeks. Elena Vasquez, the new maid. 24. Quiet as a church mouse, with wide hazel eyes that darted away whenever he entered a room. She moved through the mansion like a ghost, polishing silver, folding linens, never speaking unless spoken to. His staff adored her. The chef called her sweet as pie. The gardener said she hummed old Spanish lullabies while trimming roses. But Alexander, he didn't trust sweet. Not after his ex-fiancée had cleaned out his offshore accounts and vanished to Ibiza with a yacht broker. So he'd devised a test. He'd left a stack of cash on the mahogany coffee table, $10,000 in crisp hundreds, fanned out like a poker hand. Next to it, his grandfather's leather-bound Bible, the one he'd carried through Normandy in 44. The money was bait. The Bible was the trap. If she touched the cash, she was a thief. If she touched the Bible, well, that would tell him something else. Elena entered at 6:47 p.m., right on schedule. Her uniform, a modest gray dress with white apron, was pressed to perfection, her blonde hair, dyed, he suspected, pulled into a neat bun under a white headband. She carried a feather duster and a spray bottle of lavender polish. She didn't see him at first. Her gaze went straight to the table. Alexander's pulse quickened. Here we go. Elena froze. Her lips parted, just slightly. The duster slipped from her fingers and clattered to the rug. She stared at the money like it was a live grenade. Then her eyes flicked to him. Still asleep, and back to the cash. She took one step closer. Then another. Alexander's mind raced. Take it. Just one bill. Prove me right. But Elena didn't touch the money. Instead, she knelt, picked up the duster, and began polishing the table's edge, carefully, deliberately, avoiding the bills entirely. Her hands trembled. She whispered something in Spanish, too soft to catch. Then she reached for the Bible. Alexander's breath caught. She opened it with reverence, like it might crumble. Her fingers traced the gold-embossed cover, then flipped to a page marked with a faded ribbon. She read silently, lips moving. A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly, embarrassed even in an empty room. Alexander couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The test had backfired spectacularly. Elena closed the Bible, placed it back exactly as it was, and stood. She glanced at him again, longer this time. Her brow furrowed. Was he breathing too evenly? She leaned closer, close enough that he caught the faint scent of lavender and soap. Her hand hovered over his forehead, hesitant. Mr. Harrington, she whispered. He didn't stir. She bit her lip, then did something that made his heart stop. She pulled a crocheted blanket from the armchair, his mother's, the one no one touched, and draped it gently over him, tucking it around his shoulders like he was a child. Her fingers brushed his cheek, feather light. Then she gathered the money. Alexander's eyes flew open. Gotcha. But she wasn't pocketing it. She was counting it, quickly, efficiently, stacking the bills into neat piles. When she finished, she opened a small notebook from her apron pocket and wrote something down. Then she took a single $100 bill, folded it into a tiny square, and slipped it into the Bible, between the pages of Psalm 23. She whispered, "For the church roof, Senor. They need it more than I do." Alexander sat up slowly. Elena, she gasped, spinning around, the notebook clutched to her chest. Sir, I thought you were sleeping. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Explain the money. Her face crumpled. It's not what you think. I swear on my mother's grave. I was just cataloging. For the household ledger. Mrs. Patel asked me to track all cash left in common areas. Security protocol. She swallowed. And the 100, that was for St. Agnes. Their roof collapsed last winter. I was going to ask you tomorrow. I didn't want to disturb you. Alexander stared at her. The room felt too small suddenly. You were going to ask me. She nodded, eyes on the floor. I know it's bold. But the children, they have mass in the gym now. It smells like mildew. I thought, maybe you'd want to help. Your grandfather, he used to donate. I found the old records. He rubbed his jaw. You read my grandfather's Bible. Only the marked pages, she said quickly. He underlined verses about generosity. I thought, maybe you were like him. Alexander laughed. Short, sharp, disbelieving. You think I'm generous? Elena's chin lifted. For the first time, she met his eyes fully. I think you're lonely. The words hit like a slap. He opened his mouth to snap back, but nothing came. Because she was right. His penthouse in Manhattan was a museum. This estate, a fortress. He hadn't had a real conversation in months. Not since the board voted to oust him as chairman after the merger scandal. Elena took a step back. I'll pack my things. I overstepped. Wait. He stood, the blanket pooling at his feet. The money. Keep it. For the church. Her eyes widened. All of it. Consider it a test. He smirked, but it felt hollow. You passed. She didn't smile. Tests aren't kind, Mr. Harrington. They hurt people. Then she left, the door clicking softly behind her. That night, Alexander couldn't sleep. He paced the study, replaying her words. Lonely. At 2:13 a.m., he opened the Bible. The $100 bill was still there, pressed flat. Beneath it, in Elena's neat handwriting on a scrap of paper. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. For the children. Thank you for trusting me. He stared at it for a long time. The next morning, Elena arrived at 6:30 sharp, as always. But the study was different. The cash was gone. In its place, a check for $100,000 made out to St. Agnes Catholic Church, signed with a flourish. Next to it, a note in Alexander's scrawl. Roof fund. And dinner. Tonight. 7 p.m. Wear something other than the uniform. A.H. Elena read it twice. Her hands shook. She looked up to find him in the doorway, pretending to read the Wall Street Journal. Is this a joke? She asked. CEOs don't joke about seven-figure donations, he said gruffly. Or Italian food. Be ready. She hesitated. I'm just the maid, sir. Not anymore. He folded the paper, eyes on hers. You're the only person in this house who sees me. Not the stock price. Not the headlines. Me. Elena's cheeks flushed. And if I say no? He shrugged, but his jaw tightened. Then I'll eat alone. Again. She studied him. The shadows under his eyes, the way his hands fidgeted with the newspaper. Then she smiled, small and real. 7 p.m. But I pick the restaurant. There's a taco truck in Norwalk. Best Al Pastor in Connecticut. Alexander blinked. A taco truck. You wanted to see the real me, she said, turning to leave. Bring cash. They don't take Amex. 3 months later, the Harrington estate buzzed with something it hadn't in years. Life. Elena still cleaned. But now she did it in jeans and a Harvard sweatshirt Alexander's, stolen from his closet. The $100,000 check had turned into a full renovation of St. Agnes, complete with a plaque, in memory of Captain Elias Harrington, who believed in second chances. Alexander learned Spanish from Duolingo at 3 a.m. Elena taught him to make arepas from scratch, laughing when he burned the first batch. He fired his entire board and promoted his CFO, a single mom from Queens who'd been overlooked for years. The stock soared. And every Sunday, they drove to St. Agnes in his ridiculous Tesla. Elena sang in the choir. Alexander passed the collection plate, sneaking extra bills when he thought no one was looking. One night, As snow fell over the estate, he found her in the study, reading his grandfather's Bible again. She looked up, eyes soft. "You know," she said, "I failed your test." He frowned. "How?" "I touched the money. You cataloged it. And donated it." She shook her head. "I judged you. Thought you were cruel for testing me. But you were scared of being hurt again." She closed the book. "We're both thieves, Alexander. You stole my fear. I stole your loneliness." He pulled her close, the fire crackling behind them. "Marry me." She laughed, tears in her eyes. "You haven't even asked properly." He dropped to one knee, right there on the Persian rug. "Elena Vasquez, will you let me spend the rest of my life failing your tests, and passing them anyway?" She kissed him instead of answering. The Bible fell open to Psalm 23, the $100 bill still tucked inside like a bookmark. Outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, the mansion finally felt like a home.